Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Impact Review, September 24th. Now, I hope you're ready for a good review. I hope you're ready to see if this was a good Impact anyway. Now, I'm not going to do this in order because there were so many backstages. I'm going to do the backstages as much as possible, and then I'll do the matches. Now, we have Hulk Hogan who comes out at the very beginning of the show. Talks about aces and eights and what he's going to be doing with them when he's going to go to the clubhouse. He also talks about, which was a surprise to me, about Devon. Now, Devon has shown to be a great champion for the television title when they were showing him on television. The only problem he had was, at least from my perspective, he had no competition. They kept showing and constantly going over and over again with Robbie E and Robbie T. It was boring. I wanted to see him go up against other people. He could have gone up against a Samoa Joe. He could have gone up against the Pope before he got hurt. And I say this again, the Pope should have never been sidelined. I miss him. And I understand what deuces and fours. Smokey, my boy, please, if you know who it is, if I'm not correct, kick his ass down to the dirt. I don't like how they did the Pope, honestly. But back to the Impact Review. And the Impact Review was for this. When Hulk Hogan said he wasn't there and there were going to be 4 contenders that he's choosing from, I was actually quite happy to know that they're going to make the TV title, which is the mid-card title. If people who are casual fans don't know, the world title and TV title are the main and mid-card, and the undercard is the X division. But right now they have no mid-card title. They don't have anybody that's a transitional person who can go from, if they're in the middle of the card, in other words, to come up from the bottom, they're doing good in the middle, but they have nothing to springboard them up to the title range. That's what the TV title was originally meant to be. Now, it's good to see they're going to put someone there. Now, we have our first backstage with Hogan, that's with Samoa Joe. We got Magnus, we got Anderson, and what I said, and I'm going to connect this with my video, Garrett Bischoff. Why in the hell would you put Garrett Bischoff there? Yeah, you can say that he worked with Devon, and I wish to say before I start this, Hogan put Devon over very well, even though he's no longer with the company because of what happened with the contract. If he was involved with it or not, it makes no difference. At least saying that Devon was good makes me feel like, compared to WWE in some cases, that WWE doesn't really treat the people who they get rid of, either because of contract problems or just because a person has to be due to some type of problem. Ergo, what happened with Karma. It would have been nice if they had mentioned Karma and what happened to her, saying that unfortunately she won't be coming back. That shows that sometimes WWE can be very cold. But in this case, what Hogan did for Devon, even though not explaining what really went on, which is alright, we're not supposed to know everything about what goes on in the business. But I like that he said this about Devon. That shows a very respectable touch. That shows that Hogan does know how to treat his talent. And what happened with Magnus, what happened with Anderson, Joe, and Garrett Bischoff was good. The person I thought that spoke the best was Joe, which makes sense what happened the rest of the show. But when you had Hogan say with Magnus, you and Joe have your problems, you're out. I don't need drama. The part about, and I saw the Off the Rope shows about, and the said that it's his Impact Review. He was right, dude. It was so damn funny. Seeing Magnus try and push the door open when he's supposed to open it is gold. And I can see Joe laughing his ass off, and Garrett and Anderson. Anderson tried to keep some level of respect, and Garrett just started to laugh, and Joe, I like that. That was good. If it was scripted, or if it was actually, I think it was actually real, that he just generally forgot that the door is supposed to be pulled open, and Joe said, We do this differently here than in the UK. We actually open doors. That was funny. I liked it. Now the next one was the backstage with Al Snow and with Bruce Prichard before Taz came in, and Taz talking about what's going to happen in Gut Check. But before that, you had Prichard and Al Snow, and Al getting chewed out by his boss because Prichard is the head of talent relations while Snow is his assistant, basically. I like this part because it felt more real, like what the Off the Rope show said and the Sled Daddy. When you're in a business environment, when you screw up lovely, you don't just get off without some type of smack on the wrist. You don't. And I can understand this. Arguing with your boss, trying to justify yourself, which was good. I liked this segment before Taz came in. And when Taz came in, made it even more substantial when they started talking about Evan Makopoulos, if I'm saying his name right, not botching it. How they said about how his heart was, I saw how the match was. It was good. Of course, he got squashed, and really got squashed good by Douglas Williams. I liked it. I like how Douglas Williams basically annihilated him. He didn't really destroy him completely. In my eyes, you got to make this kid look really good. And that means it would be like a Mikey Rickwack, I can't pronounce his name, from ECW. Mikey got his ass kicked every single time they put him in the ring. And Evan Makopoulos, who basically has gone to, and I wish to say, this is where I think in the next year or so he will be back. Because he was at the Killer Kowalski camp. And when I understand Killer Kowalski, out of all the different places like Gagne's, and there's several other places, I don't know them all, but I do know about Gagne's camp and Killer Kowalski. Basically, those two camps produce the best people. Ergo Triple H, ergo The Rock, and several other people. Even Ric Flair went there, I believe, at one point. I'm telling you, many people who become the best wrestlers, and not just talking in-ring ability, all around, at least if they don't have the 5 tools, they're going to have at least 4. Is one of those camps is Killer Kowalski. So I see this kid coming back eventually, maybe in another year, maybe 2. I say in the next year when he gets a little larger, because he is 19. He's not really built big yet. He's a very small kid right now. He started when he was 13, so he still needs time to physically develop. And when it came to Gut Check, and the Gut Check was good. When Taz said simply, you're way ahead of the curve, and the way Taz was talking, he was being genuine about it. Taz has been in the business many years. He has been a champion. He understands what it takes to be in the business. And when he said yes, I felt genuinely he said yes, really. If it was up to him, honestly. He really did look like he wanted the kid there. Prichard and Al Snow said no. And I wish to say Evan Makopoulos, for his credit, spoke very well. He said simply, I got my ass handed to me last week, and I know I'm going to get my ass handed to me every week, but I don't care. I'm going to keep coming here. I'm going to put in my dues. I'm going to show you how good I can become. Not that I am now, what I can become. And this is what he was saying to Al Snow. And putting up with Al's own past about Smoky Mountain Wrestling and then getting to ECW was a nice touch. I do agree with the Slug Daddy that they really haven't shown anybody who's had a contract wrestling. Yeah, they've shown Sanjay and maybe a couple of times Kenny King, but honestly, they're not supposed to be in the company. They weren't supposed to get any contracts, but they have wrestled a couple of times. So the problem I see is that you need to put the people who have honestly gotten the contract out there. That in OVW, I can understand they need time there, but from time to time you got to put them on the screen, because Gut Check is becoming kind of redundant. I like it. I like seeing these other people come in. I would like to see that they bring in that respect, bring John Morrison in that respect. I know John Morrison is a WWE guy, and he can wrestle, and he has been seen. But if he's in Indies right now, it would be easier to say, use his actual name, if that is his true name. I forgot. I haven't seen his wiki in a while. But essentially, put John Morrison there. If you're not going to bring him in like Chavo, put John Morrison through gut check. Let him wrestle directly right afterward. Let him have a contract, let him wrestle directly. Then you'll validate gut check, because really it was up here months ago. And this is the bottom line where you need to get rid of it. They're like here. They have not shown anybody from gut check wrestling constantly or even sporadically. So it needs to be done. Now you have Brooke Hogan with Tara. And, you know, with Brooke Hogan, I like how she's not really presented constantly, which is great. I liked it. And with Tara, who the hell is she talking to? Whoever this is, I hope the guy is giving her some good, you know. But honestly, Brooke said you have consequences, you're going to pay for them now. And she also took Tara's phone, saying, you know what, I'm going to take your phone and talk to your guy. Which I can say wasn't a bad backstage, but it felt kind of empty a little bit. Really, Tessmacher wasn't even talked about much. She really wasn't. It really didn't feel like much. And when it came to ODB and Tara, and especially Tara faking that fall and hurting the leg, where she whacked her other leg, and you could see that one. She should have grabbed that leg instead of the leg that she was wearing on the brace. The match really felt empty. It felt really empty. In the beginning, it wasn't too bad, especially with Eli was there, Eric Young, and he's basically touching the new ref. Unfortunately, they didn't zoom in on ODB to get her facial look like she was getting mad at him. The only thing they let her do was just give him a kiss. Terrence Terrell, she looks good. Yeah, she looks very good. And it would have been better they zoomed straight in on ODB. If you're going to keep this stupid storyline between them, and I mean, it's not totally bad unless it's not featured. And it's not featured, so it's becoming irrelevant. It's becoming bad. If you're going to keep this up, make it look right. Zoom in on ODB. See her facial look when she sees her man touching another woman. Because what he did during the match, going to Tara saying, that's my woman, it was stupid. There's nothing there. So I'm just going to say Tara wins. It really didn't hype anything up Bound for Glory for the match between her and Tessmacher. Really didn't. Didn't see it. Now, our next backstage is with Bully Ray, which I can say honestly, because I have this feeling that what's going to happen at Bound for Glory is going to be a three-way triple threat if things continue the way they go. Because that's how I feel about it. But it's hard to say. It really is. But what he did backstage talking about tweeting was kind of cool. I liked it. And he really made sure he showed how good of a heel he is. And then there were so many backstages. I'm sorry, folks. Just trying to keep up with so many backstages, it's pretty substantial. Okay, I'm going to go to some of the matches now. The first match, which I believe was never needed, was Angle, Chavo, and Daniels. Honestly, this could have been done singles matches. You didn't need to give them a triple threat. You're going to have a triple threat at Bound for Glory. I would have liked them matching against one another. Hell, have any one of these six match against each other throughout the night. It would have been more interesting than this. I mean, the match wasn't, well, at the very beginning of the first 2 minutes wasn't bad, but then it started getting really messy. It was really messy with Chavo. It really was. And then when one point came up when Chavo was going to do a frog splash on Daniels, and Angle basically stopped him and basically looked at him and said, hey, I'm just trying to get the win. That wasn't even necessary. Basically, Daniels wins. This match was really bad. Honestly, I didn't like it at all. I would have liked to see them match against one another. Have Taz go against Angle. Have Chavo go against AJ Styles. Have Hernandez go against someone else. I forgot who it was, but it's not the point, because this match was so bad, it's hard to think of who could have matched who. It was that bad. So the next one, and the next, there wasn't that many matches today, ladies and gentlemen. There wasn't. The match that did get me upset, and I do agree with the Sled Daddy, was the match with Joe and not Angle, sorry. The match between Joe and Anderson. And wish to say what I've been saying before the match started, when Hogan was narrowing down who he wanted to have the final match with, and he basically said, Garrett, you're not ready. It's not your time. When you see Garrett's face, like he's saying, okay, you're going to do this to me? I'm going to get you. This, like I said, I decided to connect my last video with Garrett Bischoff. I know I was wrong about the one who entered the ring when Austin Aries got whacked in the head. At least I thought I'm wrong. I probably am wrong. But essentially speaking, the Bischoff family could still be in this, because how Garrett and how they zoomed in on Garrett, and when no one was paying attention to him, really thinks that either Garrett is helping as Aces and Eights, or he's involved more than that. Like, the person that is basically giving information, letting the people in, was him. Or he's going to be a part of the leadership of Aces and Eights. Like I said in my video, this is still, and I wish to say this clearly, this is still an extremely, very remote chance. I don't even believe this is even possible. I don't think a novice like myself could figure this storyline out. It is extremely long shot, like Seabiscuit long shot, this could even happen. If I'm right, this will be the most shocking thing that I'll believe, and I don't think anybody in the YWC is going to really think this guy's only been doing this a couple months and he figured it out by himself. I don't think I'm even going to have that opportunity. If it does happen, I'm going to be happy about it. I'm not going to burn it into people's faces and say, I told you so. But I'll be really happy that at least I know the business enough that I can understand storylines. So the match between Joe and Anderson was a bit short. I would have liked it a little longer than that. And I can agree with the Sled Daddy about what happened with Mike Tenay and Taz. Taz is the one, from what I can tell, is the commentator who explains what's going on in the ring. And Mike Tenay is the one that's supposed to give it energy and go back and forth with his partner, which he did not do. He did a better job, and I'm not saying by much, when it came to the final match of the night than he did with this. This was for a title, and the Sled Daddy is right. This title has been almost irrelevant for at least 2.5 years. Only when Devon took it under his control, got the strap, did it actually have some meaning. And now Joe, who is a legitimate winner, and Mike Tenay says, honestly, he's a Triple Crown winner. He's a world champion. He's an X Division champion and a tag team champion. He's a Triple Crown winner. But when you don't really get super excited about it, it really doesn't mean anything for the crowd at home. The people in the arena, they were ecstatic about wanting to see Anderson win. At first it was a split. Then they wanted to see Anderson win. Anderson win. But then, when he won, there were a lot of people that didn't really cheer that much. Maybe some boos, but it looks like they were not pretty much into it. He should have been raised higher than that. He should have had a piece with Christy Hemme after the match. Had an interview. This is what I said about Christy Hemme still being in there. She should have been there and should have interviewed him and let him get out what he needed to say, so the crowd at home as well as in the arena could have had some type of extra enrichment after the match. The match was very short. It wasn't a bad match, but it could have been better. Now, I wish to say, when it came to Hulk Hogan and Sting, because you have several pieces of them throughout the night, I didn't know what to expect about this. I thought it might be a little too much because there was so many backstages this night. Like last time, it was a bit overwhelming. But I can't say it wasn't too bad. When you had Hulk Hogan talking with Zane, and then the assistant came in with some mace, which we thought, well, I thought she was an assistant, maced them both, and then Aces and Eight took them to the clubhouse. I'll say that was an interesting twist. I've never seen it. So that was different. And then when you see the leader of Aces and Eight, or considered leader, one of them, talking with his back turned to them, and the way he was talking to Hogan particularly, because he wasn't talking to Sting at all, it was only Hogan he spoke to. Sting interjected a couple of times, but one hint for me that made me think after he said, at Bound for Glory, you put 2 guys in the ring, I'll put 2 guys in the ring. If my guys win, we got free reigns in Impact, you don't stop us. If you win, we're gone. That was okay. And then getting splashed in the face with water was a nice touch by the guy who works for Ace and Eight, one of the guys there. But the thing that got me interested was, I don't want to give you any, basically he didn't say it like this, but from what I'm getting, I don't want to give you any advantage because, in his words, I know you're a very good chess player. This is the hint for me, that it has to be someone who knows Hogan. It's got to be. It's got to be someone who knows him, and that makes me think of Garrett Bischoff and his father, Eric. Because the guy who was back to Hogan and Sting was a small guy. That's the look I got. Not a large man. He looked small. And then when you have Joseph Parks on the table, that makes you think it may be someone. If it's not Abyss, if this is still not a setup to be Abyss, it looks like Eric. It would make sense. So afterwards, they dropped them off, and then basically Sting says, I'm going to handle this. I'll get a partner, and you know it's going to work. So we got Bound for Glory for that match. The final match of the night will be basically Aries and Hardy versus Bully Ray, and you got Robert Roode. And I wish to say Robert Roode did a backstage, which was kind of weird, trying to get into Aries' head, saying you can beat him, this is going to work, but honestly I want to win, want Hardy to win so I can win. It was a little confusing. It would have been better that wasn't even included. And Aries said it best, what the hell was that? But when it came to the match, it was a standard match. It's kind of weird to see that it really looks like they're going to turn Aries heel eventually. I can say with Slug Daddy and the British Fist, it could still be just something to try and bring more energy between the two, because they may not turn him heel. He may still be face, and just making it more ramped up. But honestly, he's really beginning to show like he's just beginning to become either extremely edgy, still being a face, or he's just beginning to go to heel. So either he's becoming more edgy of a face, or he's going to be a heel. Hardy wins over Bully Ray, and they're still going up to the match. Honestly, these matches were not that great. There were very few of them. There was more backstages. I mean, I'm looking at my list here of all the stuff I noticed, and there were only like pretty much 4 matches and very little interest. This is barely a C show. I'm not going to say under C, C minus. I'm just going to say it's barely C. So, I hope you liked the Zane's View. Subscribe and comment. And I'll be getting out my SmackDown review as soon as possible. If it's not tonight, it's going to be tomorrow. And give it a thought. Could a Bischoff be the head of the Aces and Eights? Don't know. But we're going to find out by Bound for Glory. Have a good day.